smarter balance.
But it's like pages and pages of instructions with your tax forms or something. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to call our meeting to order. I just want to say here before we get started that this is a committee meeting tonight. So we are going to have public comment, but there is no audience participation during the committee meeting. Committee meeting events have typically been of that nature because there will be no motions on the table for votes. So that's when public participation comes, when there's a motion for a vote. So that said, I have indicated with people that I'm on the budget committee, indicated to people that if they have questions, ideas, thoughts, that they're willing to submit in writing to myself. I would always make sure that every committee member gets to see that, and this committee could do the same as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, so we're called to order. I guess we'll have public comment. If there's any public comment, now's the time. Okay, so let's go right on to tonight's business, which is personnel and administrative.
Okay, so with the reorganization of the administrative staff for this next coming school year, we were reduced down by 0.5 FTE the administrative manpower across the street and reorganized into creating two positions. As you're aware, the K-6 elementary principal's position and the 7-12 high school principal's position. With that, the positions that currently existed were basically terminated off at the end of this year. So we need to refill those positions. To do so, given that the existing administrators, have certificates and possibly want the same position, we opened it up and are allowing them to come in and to speak to this committee about their desire to continue on. We do have one teacher since we're looking at the house in Sailor, who also has an administrative endorsement, who's worked as a music teacher for quite some time, who's also given a letter of interest. I would ask that as we go through this, we did create a few questions to have for discussion points of each of these individuals. So I would ask that as the process starts to unfold, we invite the candidates to the model discussion. Each candidate takes place, and then if they want to stick around at the end, we can come back in. Deliberates in terms of how it wants to proceed.
Does that feel good with
So there will be questions that are asked of us, but individually, or?
Everybody gets the same 4 questions, though, right?
Correct.
Everybody's going to get the same
So
4
two of
questions.
us will leave the room. Well,
Correct.
okay.
So you'll have an individual time. Does that feel okay?
All right. So with that being said, Mrs. Backus, you are not feeling very well tonight, so maybe
It doesn't.
I was going to say to you, who wants to go first? Put up your hand. Who wants to go first?
I'm good. That doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Ms. Myers received a letter requesting to be considered for the K-6 elementary principal's position, but she's also stated even though she does not have an endorsement, she'd be willing to go back to and get the credits for the high school endorsement, which would allow the school district, if need be, to go ahead and give her the position while she gets a provisional certificate to move forward into the 7-12. That's a discussion to take once the K-6 position is dealt with. So with that being said, it's my understanding the desire is the K-6 elementary
That would be
position.
my first choice, but I would entertain the idea of, and I toyed with the high school position also. I've talked with John about it. One thing I think that would be an advantage would be that I have those relationships built with a lot of the parents and the kids, pretty much the whole school community, coming out of middle school into the high school. And so I think that would help with the continuity in the high school. Nothing else. Dan and Pat and I have had countless conversations about what goes on at the high school. Just in general, I feel like I have a pretty good feel for what goes on there, but I am not secondary endorsed in it. I mean, my background's elementary, so there would be, to me, a steep learning curve also on some areas, especially when it comes to like the co-curriculars. That would be something I would have to, would have to learn.
Can I just ask how, what would be involved with getting the certificate from your
I think I
part?
have one more class to take.
Okay.
But I haven't checked yet. And I'm not sure the provisional is good for what, is it 3 years?
3 years.
Okay, all right,
So,
so that
I
fits
would
in
have
great.
plenty of time, I guess
Right,
that's my
so it's not
point.
like you need 20 credits, but you probably need
I think I read one
class, yeah.
maybe two.
Okay, okay.
I know I looked at it a few years ago when I know it wasn't a whole lot.
Okay.
But, and I think I have a pretty good idea of where we want to go as a district to, curriculum-wise, with MDI, RTI.
So I do have some questions. Ask these questions, so I don't have to gaze on the camera.
John, why don't you go ahead with the first one? You want to do that one?
Okay. Okay, so please tell us about yourself and anything you feel is important for us to know about your professional experiences that have prepared you as a candidate for the Florence-Carlton School administrative position.
Okay, so this is kind of awkward because I feel like I know you all, I've been here 7 years now.
But we're trying to show some consistency.
Right, I understand. So, well, I've been here 7 years now. I'm pretty heavily invested in this school district. We've been through some things in this district, and I think we still continue to move forward. And I can see we're about to turn the corner on, achievement, MDI, just the whole school, the whole culture of the school district. I think that, we've come a long ways in the 7 years that I've been here. There's always room for improvement. And I can see where we're going. I think the curriculum and the instruction will continue to become more rigorous, and I see that happening K through 12. I don't think it's just the upper elementary and high school. And culturally, Dan, I think we'd agree, our kids have come a long way in the way that they treat each other. We still have some issues with disrespect, or as bullying, as some people would like to call it, but we continue to work on that. And I think there's been nothing but improvement. So I don't know if I just answered your question. But anyway,
Professional experience.
So you talked about MDI.
So we
3 through 8.
Yeah.
I didn't answer the question.
Wasn't it 22 years at the elementary school?
Yeah, I was in the middle school there. Middle school's kind of my wheelhouse.
Okay. All right, next one is, please describe current curricular developments at the elementary level that you're excited about. Carries forward.
Okay.
We're talking about.
So that would be Common Core and all that comes with Common Core. Instructional strategies would be another area that's really exciting to me. We've done some, as I think I've reported at board meetings, we've done some training on instructional strategies in the last couple of months, and I think that's really where student achievement lies, is getting those instructional strategies. So helping teachers understand how they can best engage their students in the learning. That would be an example of some, not a specific instructional strategy, but where we need to go. What was the question again?
Current curriculum developments at the elementary level that you're excited about.
Okay. More rigor. And I've said that before. And that just goes back to the Common Core. It's just preparing the students. We're preparing them better and better all the time for their future.
Please describe the role you feel parents should play in the operation of the school and highlight how you will engage parents of high-risk students in the school process.
Okay, well, it's a partnership, so if we don't have a partnership, we're in trouble. At the middle school, one of the things I developed was the parent association. There wasn't one before, and it's not really an advisory group, but they are in support of the school. They have done some things to kind of partner with us. But anyway, it's important to create those partnerships, and I think you do it a variety of different ways, but a lot of it's just one-on-one. When we see them in the hallway, engage them in conversation. Make sure you know who they are. As far as at-risk students go, again, it's about developing a relationship with those parents. You need to get them in the school. You need to help them understand that it's not the school against them, or vice versa. Again, it's about relationship and creating a partnership with those parents. And sometimes we have to educate them on, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish with their child.
Okay, so then the last question, what do you think is your most outstanding contribution to the Florence-Carlton School District?
I'm going to start with test scores. Test scores have climbed over the 7 years that I've been here. I'm not in the classroom, and I'm not directly instructing, but I feel that the staff has responded really well to the bar that I've set. They know that I expect them to tie their teaching to what were the standards, and that they're going to have to continue to do that with Common Core. Some of their favorite types of projects may have to go the wayside because we've really got to focus on hitting the Common Core. So anyway, I would say that student achievement would be at the top of my list. Okay, next would be the positive behavior support system, MBI. We're still evolving with the MBI, still trying to get everybody on board. It's a long process, but it's made a difference. I can see it in the hallways. There's a huge difference out on the playground, especially with middle school students. As I was driving, I was thinking back to how it was when I was first here out on the playground and how it is now outside with our middle school students, and there aren't the number of incidents that once were. I looked at the Swiss data. The number of ODRs, or office referrals, have dropped significantly in the last 7 years. And I think that's twofold. I think our teachers the reasons for that are twofold. I think our teachers are becoming better at handling situations inside within the walls of their classroom. And then I do think that our students have responded to MBI in a positive way. Additionally, I'll just go on. RTI is another area. we've tried a number of things, especially with our tier 2 kids. Those are the kids that are kind of on the bubble. I look at homework, the after-school homework help partnership with Day Spring Church, math boosters, the Alex program last year. We've tried mentors. We've done that. We had set up mentorships last year, and then the check-in, check-out program where the kids check in with an adult a couple times during the day, and sometimes it's a counselor, sometimes it's a teacher, but those are all part of the RTI kind of MBI multi-tier system of support. So
that's it for those formal questions. This is kind of a difficult situation because the person sitting across from us is, part of the family.
I was going to say we're too familiar.
We do know the quality of the candidates, and Florence is in a good situation. We have, a good pool of candidates here. And Mrs. Backus illustrates that very well in the way that she answers those questions and stuff. To have a person who works for you to have to interview for their job, but at this point, I want to thank you for all that you've done so far for us, and the way you've approached this. I really appreciate that. And what we'll do is we're going to talk to these other candidates, and then we'll have everybody come in. Committee will have a discussion on what they see fitting with the school. But I would say, her involvement with MBI, RTI, getting the parent group started, the Homework Helper Club, these are all very strong points that point in the direction that Mrs. Backus is a quality individual that have gone above and beyond. You don't see administrators take on the challenges as much as she does. She does spend a lot of extra time making sure that she owns the responsibility of her job and that things are happening. And on another note, when we talk about the shifts in the school district, there has been very positive things that are going on in the school. When you talk about the academic performance indicators that we're seeing, those are just standing out there. And when she says it looks as though we're getting ready to really turn the corner, we are. You just can't make that happen. It's not a sprint, it's more of a marathon when you're dealing with educational issues. And we see that. We see the transformation of behavior at the high school level, and I think Mr. Grabowska would agree with me on that. In that behaviors we saw 2 or 3 years ago that were negative behaviors at the high school are not there today, and a lot of it can be attributed to the positive behavior systems that are in place, and the work that the MBI teams have done preparing those kids as they move up through the system. So now that we see more and more of those kids that have had 4 or 5 years involvement in our school under the PBS and the MBI, we're seeing that they're just not interested in those bad behaviors that we see, or we did see and we saw 7, 8 years ago. So I can't say enough about the quality of what we've seen come out of the middle school, and especially as we take a look at 3A and 3, 4, 5. The teachers at 3, 4, 5 have responded very well to Mrs. Backus' leadership, and they're very engaged. And that is one of the things that you need from your administrators are they getting the staff to engage and maintain high morale and to do the little extras that you need done for the accomplishments you're looking for. And that is to move academic achievement higher and to have better social and emotional environments for the children to be working in. So all that is happening.
There are good things happening.
Recommend you for everything. So seriously.
So with that,
This one's next.
No.
Well, I mean.
Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you.
And we'll be letting people know what we're thinking here as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you for coming and expressing interest. And
What have your name and background?
this, and sorry that this feels awkward, but opening it up in-house, we wanted to make it feel like every candidate had the same chance to put forth their stuff. Are you handing that around?
I do. I updated my cover letter and
Okay.
I don't know if you've got other.
Thank you for that. So this is pretty basic stuff, but again, trying to do a format that gives everybody an opportunity to have similar, the same questions and that sort of thing. So, John, you get the first one again, right?
All right. So we're going to ask you a couple of questions and then have a discussion. So it's just for the consistency of the format for everybody. It's difficult because you're part of the family. You're somebody we're very familiar with, and we understand the accomplishments you've made during your tenure working for us. So that's all part of where we're at here, but for consistency of this process, we're going to ask some questions, and if you would just share with us your answers, we'd greatly appreciate it. So the first question we're going to ask is, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and anything you feel is important for us to know about your professional experience that has prepared you as a candidate for the elementary principal's position here at Florence-Carlton?
Okay, a little bit about myself. It's my 23rd year in public education. I graduated the University of Montana. Started as a business major, but quickly realized that that's not the direction I needed to go. And I was a teacher for 8 years in Idaho and Hawaii. And came back to school, got my master's in counseling. And that's how I ended up at Florence as a counselor. And at that time, I was accepted into the Cohort 5 doctoral program for educational leadership. And when I was going through that program, when Mr. Ventresca was thinking about easing into retirement, and he approached me about kind of doing a job share and being an assistant principal, and thought about that and agreed to do that, and that ended up being probably one of the best experiences I had. Mr. Ventresca was an amazing mentor. I just feel so fortunate to have had 3 years as assistant principal here with Mr. Ventresca, having somebody who had been in education for so long, learning under him. And then when he left, I became a principal, and between that and working and going to school and working on my doctorate, I've learned a lot about not just the students, but the staff, and just about being an administrator and all of the things that I liked about it, and that is the career choice that I wanted to make with the rest of my educational careers.
Okay, Ian?
Would you please describe current curriculum developments at the elementary level that you are excited about?
There's a lot going on at that elementary level. You know, we are easing into the Common Core. That's actually quite an overwhelming area of the curriculum that the state's adopted, and at the lower level, you wouldn't think because we're not taking a lot of the testing that the upper grades are taking, but it's actually the lower levels that really have to prepare the kids and that foundation. So we've got to have a new reading series that we've adopted this year that the teachers are excited about. We have to look at the math series. The technology part of the curriculum is important. We've got the iPad lab down at the primary level, and that just keeping up with, today I spent a little chunk of time uploading apps that the teachers have been asking for that go along with supporting the curriculum and exploring what's out there. And the kids have no fear of technology, and just to keep up with the kids is a challenge in the curriculum. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and just even the things that go along with supporting the curriculum. Down at the elementary level, we've got the STAR lab down in the first grade right now, and we've been just the elementary's fun. There's just a lot of just different nuances that go along with the curriculum.
Okay. Your turn. Please describe the role you feel parents should play in the operation of the school and highlight how you will engage parents of high-risk students in the school process.
Well, it's partnership. With the parents, we can't educate kids in a vacuum. At the school, the parents are the pivotal part of it. Without their support and without our communication with the parents, it just doesn't work. We need to work together. And I think at the primary level is pretty easy. The parents are very involved. They're in and out, and right from the very first day, they're on the campus a lot more than they would be in middle school or high school. I have an open door policy. I have parents that pop in. I'm a part of the group for the SCPT. Right now I work with the parent organization. I think it's important to be receptive and be a good listener for the parents when they have concerns. Or if it's about how their child is performing, a question about what's going on at the school, a question about something, a decision I've made. It's important not to be defensive when parents come in and have questions. They want to make sure that's their child, and you have to respect that. And even though I consider myself, the expert when it comes to education, I want to hear what the parents have to say and what their perception is. It's important for me to know that and respect that and have that.
Okay, so last question. What do you think is your most outstanding contribution to the Florence-Carlton School District?
I think my biggest contribution, just by being able to be in the position to support the teachers in what it is they're doing, and when they come to me with an idea about something they want to try or something they want to do, that I can make it happen. That whether it's through the elementary budget or through making some connections or buying some resources or just my own experience. I think that's the biggest thing that I can do is just help facilitate, because we have so many creative don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. I can just support and help the staff be creative and come up with their great ideas. Because they'll go to a training and come back with a bunch of really great ideas and share them with the staff. And if we can just facilitate that, keep that going, I think that's a lot. And I think too, just supporting the fundraising that we've done at the elementary.
It must be a lot of cookie dough.
I have muscled a lot of cookie dough in the last, we've probably been doing that 11 years now, so that was a Fire and Mother's brainchild, and we started that, the two of us, when we were the advisors for the elementary city council, and so, yeah.
And it just never went away.
It never went away. No, but I also think that that's brought a lot of, when I look at the playground and I think of all the things that we've made happen with that and the iPads and.
Okay. That's our 4 basic questions. Did you have anything else you wanted to say or share?
It's good to go through this process, and think about and reevaluate why it is that you're here wanting to do what it is. At the dance last week, I had a parent come up and ask me, "Are you going to apply for the principal job?" And I thought, well, I have to apply for my job. I'm already the principal, and so it got me thinking, and I thought, well, am I going to apply for the job? Why would I want to, or why do I want to still be, the principal and look at it? And it's been very good for me to go through that. Why is this important to me? Why do I still want to be at Florence? Why do I want to put myself through the process again? And it is. It's that I still love working at Florence. I still love the teachers I work with every day. I still love the students. The students are great. Every day is different, and you never know what's going to come out of the mouth of a kindergartner or a 6th grader. And I worry about what comes out of the mouth of a 6th grader, but no, but it is. It's been good. It's reaffirmed what I want to do and that I want to be as
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, with that, some of the things with regards to Mrs. Hall, she's done a very nice job. Parents are very supportive of her. They really like the leadership that she provided down with the elementary staff. Our school does very well because of the start, that they get in the elementary level, and they're familiar with her. The cookie dough is a good example of, the amount of involvement, participation we have by our parents. I mean, that's a lot of money that we brought in off of that one fundraiser, and it's very impressive. And all you have to do is watch the company itself, and they'll tell you that we're one of the bigger clients they have when it comes to the sales of that. When you look at some of the things that have happened in terms of transforming the playground out there with the equipment and working with the staff, in terms of working through the issues, whether it's special ed identification, and that's one of the things that we tend to forget, and Mrs. Hulla does a very nice job with it on her level with her staff, is that a lot of our kids with needs are identified down in that K2 area. It puts them on track and get the types of help they need, and that's one of the strengths that Mrs. Hulla has, is the leadership she provides on those IPs and working through those issues. So there's a lot of those types of meetings that we see her at and see that she's working through. But I would say one of the most important things is the staff. The staff really identifies with her. They really appreciate her. They work for her and want to do a good job. And I think that's a credit to her strength as a leader, that we see. So those are just a few things that I would, like to point out. And she does have a good, strong parent group down there that she's involved with and she's partnered with that makes those connections that help the school move in a good, strong direction. So, thank you for everything that you do for us, and we appreciate that.
So I guess we're going to also do one more candidate, and then we're going to have some deliberations. If we want everybody to come back, or are people just going to go?
They can come back.
They can come back, or you can come back for our deliberations, or you can go if you like, I guess is the thing, right? Or do you want everybody to come back?
They can come back if they want.
Come back and go if you like, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Being interested?
Thanks for having me.
We're kind of informal, and we're asking everybody the same 4 questions, just to kind of give everybody a chance to have that same format. And so we're going to kind of just jump right in, right?
Yeah, one of the things is that you're part of the family, so we kind of know quite a bit about you in terms of your work and everything that you've done for the school. Now, what's a little different for you as opposed to the other 2 ladies that we've just spoken to is that they've been in the school as an administrator for quite a while and have a lot of experience that way. The experience that I know is the maternity leave that you've done, and it was quality, and it speaks a lot for itself. So, you may want to try to elaborate a little deeper on some of these questions for us, because they are geared towards administrative thinking.
Okay.
What we see in leadership. So, with that being said, first question.
That'd be you.
Okay.
We're taking turns.
Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and anything you feel is important for us to know about you as you prepare to be here? Anything that you know about your professional experiences that has prepared you as a candidate for the elementary principal's position?
This is my 30th year of teaching elementary music. I think that says a lot for my commitment to education and my commitment to kids of this age group. Kinder through 5th graders, that's what I've always done. I think that personally, I'm always looking for something new in my education. When I was in college, I started as a music ed major, and I realized I wasn't going to finish in 4 years. It was going to take me 5, so I thought, what can I do? So I got a special ed degree with it, and student taught in both those areas. Got my first job in Lewistown, Montana, taught elementary music for 7 years. Also went out to Oregon and started at the University of Oregon for a master's program that I didn't complete. 7 years in Lewistown, and it was like, okay, do something else. So I started looking for a job. I got hired in Auburn, Washington. So I went out to Auburn, Washington and taught elementary music for a year. Got married, came back here and applied to Florence. And this has been home. This is my 22nd year. I love the kids here. I love teaching what I teach. I love the interaction with the kids and the staff and the parents. I think I'm teaching kids of kids now, and that's an amazing connection. I think that's very cool. So when I got back to Missoula, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I started my master's program. I did the Creative Pulse It's an interdisciplinary master's, drama, dance, music, and creative writing. And their whole idea is focus on something you're not comfortable with. So my focus was creative writing. And so that gave me a whole new level of understanding with the English and language arts part of it. So that was my master's program. In between there, I had a child. My husband and I started a second business. He's kind of like I am. We both need to be doing. So we have a business that we've had for 22 years that he has on his own, that I do all his book work for. So I'm the business manager part of the business. So my kids are getting older. I have a stepson too. I don't want to just do continuing ed classes. I want something more. So, okay, administration. So that's when I started my administration endorsement. That was an amazing growing period. I thought I was just going to do K-8 when they called me into the office and said, no, you're going to do K-12 because everything else that you have is K-12. We want you to take all those classes. And it made me grow as a person and an appreciation for what the administrators do and also for what the teachers are doing and how the administration is such a support for them. If I get through my day without being interrupted in my classroom, then somebody's got my back that's taking care of all those other problems going on in the school, and I really get to teach. That's important to me. So I finished the degree. I've applied for a couple principal jobs. I applied for the Lolo principal job a couple of years ago. I was one of 3 finalists. They hired in-house, so I felt okay about that. And right before that, Chrissy called me into the office and asked me to fill in for her maternity leave. And it caught me off guard, and I don't know why it did, that she asked me to do that. I fell in love with it. I loved seeing the kids in a different light. I loved working with the teachers. I'm very organized. I have my to-do list and I get things done. I'm proactive. I loved it. And I would love to move into that. I dealt with the parents. We had a couple parent issues. We had a couple teacher issues. I felt that I handled them professionally. I'm not a loud person, but I feel that I know what's right, and I can put that across to kids and other teachers and parents. I felt that I was successful in that job. I'm looking for the next step in my career, and I would like that next step to be administration. I'm not applying for any other administrator jobs that are open right now. I want to finish my career in education here at Florence, and I would love to do that as principal.
Okay.
Would you please describe for us some current curricular developments at the elementary level, K-6 level, that you are excited about?
Will you read it again?
Yeah, so describe for us some current curriculum developments at the K-6 level that you're excited about.
Well, I know that Common Core is in the forefront of everything that's going on right now. And I know that teachers are working hard to figure out how their curriculum and their textbooks are fitting into the Common Core. And I know that Journeys, the new English language arts, is based upon the Common Core, so that's moving in the right direction. I know that the Smarter Balance tests are coming up, and I know that that's really scary because they're computer-based, and our kids aren't getting that computer background that a few years ago we had the kids going into the computer lab all the time. because the special schedule, music, art, PE, library, those of us that teach those build that schedule. And there was a time a few years ago that computer lab was built into the special schedule, so we knew all the kids were going and getting that background. And I know that they're not getting it right now, so that's a real concern. And I know in the math part of it that there's going to be story problems, that the kids aren't just figuring out the math, but they're going to have to type in their answers. So doing the field test this year just is going to give us that real eye-opener, I'm thinking, for what we have to do for next year to get our kids ready for those tests.
I have the next question.
Okay.
Please describe the role you feel parents should play in the operation of the school and highlight how you will engage parents of high-risk students in the school process.
Can you read it one more time for me?
Please describe the role you feel parents should play in the operation of the school and highlight how you will engage parents of high-risk students in the school process.
I feel that we are the employees of the parents. I think that the parents need to feel that their needs need to be met. The needs of the kids need to be met by the parent, by the teachers. If there's a high-risk student, or any student for that matter, I think the principal's office needs to be open enough that they can come in and carry on a conversation to make sure that the needs of their child are being met. And that needs to be done diplomatically, and it needs to be done at a professional level. But ultimately, those parents want the best for their kid. And we need to do our very best to meet those needs. And high-risk students, there's so many different levels of need. I think there was a time in education that, most of our kids came to school having breakfast and having mom and dad at home and getting them ready, and that's not the way it is anymore. The school's taking on more of that role, and we can see that in programs like YEP. And now we have the YEP people being able to work with those parents to help get the medications and make sure that the child's getting the needs met at home. Am I answering the question? Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered it. I feel that the parents have to be an integral part of the education process, and I need to be, if I were the principal, open enough to carry on that conversation with them and assure them that we're doing the best for the kids. But I want that parent to also know that we are professionals and we have the education and we can teach the parents too what we're doing as educators, so they can understand why we do what we do as teachers, and so they can hopefully come to support what we do as we support what they do, and then together make the process work for the child.
So the last question, what do you think is your most outstanding contribution to Florence-Carlton School District? And you've been here a long time, so we should be good here.
I have a passion for what I do. I love my job, but I love the kids more, and I love seeing them when I walk down the hall and be able to stop and visit, and I like seeing the older kids come back and tell me what they've done. love seeing the interaction with teachers and kids, and having each class come to my room. You just see all these different personalities, all these teacher personalities that come out in the class. Because kids spend so much time with those teachers, and then seeing the kids grow through that year by year to who they're going to become is just very exciting. And I like working with the teachers. I'm on the MBI committee. I like that teacher interaction, and I had such great support from my teachers when I filled in for Mrs. Holla. It was amazing, and they're a big support in this, and I feel that I could bring that elementary staff back together. We're kind of scattered right now, with the split, and everybody's feeling it, and I'd love to be able to work with them and make it a better place for our teachers and our kids. And it's just really, it's a passion of mine. I want this job really bad, and I really would do a good job at it. I put the time in. I'm to that place in my life where I have the time to work on it. My husband's retired and is just doing our own business now, so he's at home. My daughter just graduated from cosmetology school and got her first job yesterday in Missoula. Yeah, I teach piano lessons after school 3 nights a week here at the school. So I teach from 3:30 till 6, and I love that connection with families and kids, because then I get to know them even better. And so I put the time in, and if I get this job, I will stop the piano studio because I want to focus my time on the principal job. But that's the time that I would put in. I'm willing to go the extra mile to make it work. I have some letters of recommendation. I didn't know if I should read them. Would you like them?
Yeah, if you want to provide them for us, you can.
Okay.
So, anything else we want to bring forward here?
Well, with regard to Mrs. Saylor, when she stepped up for the maternity leave, she did a very nice job. The staff responded well to her. When she says that she's very organized and does not allow things to slide, she's dead on with that, because that's what I witnessed as she went ahead and performed the duties and responsibilities of the principalship. And, it's not easy. And I think that she learned that firsthand. It's not easy. It's a very different, a much more fluid situation in terms of how to handle parent issues and how to handle staff issues and how to handle student issues and balancing it all so that people walk away with the sense that they've been listened to and that whatever issue they have is going to be handled. And by all estimation, she handled all those issues and they walked away satisfied. So, she does have some qualities and skills that lend well towards being a good administrator.
So, unless anybody else has anything, the plan here is that we were gonna then discuss somehow how we notes we made on our little sheet here, and we were gonna have you guys come back in if you chose to, or if you choose not to, whatever.
I think those guys are sitting up there.
Are they waiting up there? Okay.
So why don't we bring them back and we
Yeah.
take a couple of minutes to just think about our notes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And get into a little bit of a deliberation of that.
Okay, all right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, does that sound okay, Vickie? Mm-hmm.
So we'll bring the other gals down.
Okay.
Around the seasons, so we do a song about fall and then a song about just all the way down through the year and then the summer song. You'll like it. Hopefully. What is the children's theater called? House of she's gonna sing it as the box song. Just let me read.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Are we ready?
I guess so. We're ready.
You guys are ready.
Yeah.
Aye. Well, like I said at the beginning, the district is blessed with the quality of administrators that we have sitting in this room today. I just believe that, the school's in good hands with any one of you. We do have the elementary K-6 position that is what we're discussing right now. And we're considering the work experience and, the leadership qualities and direction we're looking at. One of the things I have to say is, Mrs. Halla has stepped up and done quite a bit at the elementary level. Even when asked last year to step back into the counseling roles a little bit so that we could cut some FTE out of the administration, she did so without hesitation. She has a strong loyalty to the school district and wants to do what's best for the school, which is a very strong, admirable quality. some of the changes that we've seen at the middle school level. One of the things that really stands out is, the RTI and BI things that Mrs. Backus has brought to the table, that have transformed a lot of the culture in the school and on the playground. So, those are things that we're, having to really struggle with decision-making, and Ms. Saylor, bringing the qualities that she has to the table with organizational skills and her dedication to this community for the past 22 years, all speaking very strongly and highly for her. So, that, are there things that you want to speak to directly or indirectly?
I know we're just talking about the K-6 today.
Well, we actually have the other item on the agenda, but
The K-6 is where we're at.
these ladies applied for K-6, right?
But one of the things you said today, Audrey, made me really think, and that is the fact that if we were to consider you for the 7 through 12, that you have, there is this consistency that's going to continue. And I even thought about this earlier, but the way you said it was beautiful, and the fact that you know those students, they know you, and that's a huge step when you're dealing. And I just let me preface this by saying anybody that can handle middle schoolers, I don't know, they're angelic or they're whatever, but you have done a marvelous job with that. So in my mind, I'm thinking if you have brought our middle school to the point that you have with what I consider one of the most difficult ages, and it's just the nature of the beast. It's not, I'm not saying anything against middle school children. All of us probably in this room have dealt with middle school children, and I've had 5 of my own, and I would have preferred not to.
We were.
And we were too.
Yes, we were.
But
remember.
But anyway, having said that, I think that's so important. I mean, from my side of it, sitting as a trustee, I think when I look at administration or look at teachers or whatever, anytime, I mean, I even look at my preschool classes, anytime I can keep a consistency in the same routine and the same face and all of that, it just makes things go easier. Now, you're an awesome candidate forever. And I know we're not really talking about the 7 through 12, and you are not.
But I brought it up.
You did bring it up, and you're not very far from getting your. And I know that, and you admitted that you feel more comfortable, in that middle school realm. On the one hand, 7 through 12, you still have part of those middle schoolers.
We're asking you how much you really want to stretch yourself. How willing you're really willing to go.
Well, in my letter, I said I have some reservations. So the reservations would be the supervision of, the activities in the evening. How am I going to manage that and keep some balance in my life? I mean, that's a big concern for me. And then just my lack of experience with the curriculum would be my other concern.
I didn't know you were supposed to balance something.
Well, I saw you. I'm sorry you didn't get that part. A person should have balance, Mr. Grabowska.
And that's well-founded.
But the curriculum would be, I just don't feel, I'm not comfortable. I don't understand certain parts of it. I hear Dan talk a lot about it. I mean, that's been an education in itself, but it's a little bit different.
What subjects did you teach when you taught in Delaware?
I taught everything but English and English.
Okay.
At one time or another.
Sure.
And over the years.
So you're saying everything but English? Okay.
Yeah, it's about reading, math, science, social studies. That would be the core.
super qualified, women of integrity. I mean, this is a real difficult choice. Ms. Saylor, I can't tell you how incredible you have been in the music, in the elementary music. I mean, I have not attended a concert lately in the last couple of years, and I should have. But I hear about you all the time with the parents that come through my business and my after-school children. They just love music, and that's such an important thing. Now, I truly understand you're wanting to, take that next step, because I think all educators need and want to take that next step, try to stay ahead of those students, ahead of the, that's just in our nature, and that's what makes you the professionals that you are. Chrissy, you do a marvelous job. And you have a marvelous son. I have him in preschool this year. Well, he's going to be a preschool graduate here in another month or so. But, and I have gotten to know him a little bit. I mean, I've gotten to know about Mrs. Hulla through her son.
I say you probably know a lot more than I wish you did.
And it's all good. I will tell you, it's all positive. But that aside, you've been a loyal employee of Florence. I mean, this is really a difficult thing. It's really difficult. So, okay, that's all I'm going to say right now, and I'll let the others talk through what I was just
Well,
saying.
I'm with Vickie over here. I would love to see the continuity if we can, and if people feel like that's something that the challenge that they're willing to go for. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you get 3 better candidates here? I'm like, oh, we were afraid we weren't going to get anybody. I mean, you know what I mean, in the total scheme of this process. So, I don't know what we're going to do here. So,
Dan, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I know Chrissy and Audrey for the 7 years I've been here. They've put a lot of time, a lot of effort into their programs, have built them up hugely. I think we had, when I came in, I think it was a really good school system, but I think we've all put our touch on it. I think we've done it as a team, and also our individual touches, which is, I think, pretty impressive to be able to do that. I think we all believe strongly in our own systems and that type of thing, and so overcoming egos and everything to work together, I think we've done a pretty nice job of that. So Lori, I think, has done a great job in the elementary program with the music and everything my kids have gone through. I've had, Jesse, I think, had too for music his first year, so coming to all the concerts all the time and everything. I think last week was the first concert I've missed at the elementary for a long time. It was in Bozeman, but I think honestly, to choose Lori over one of the 2 that are in place, I think would be a very difficult thing to do. I think Audrey and Chrissy have shown that they're absolutely capable and have a great thing running. I think pulling either of them for Lori to put that would just change that consistency. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but I think everything's going in the right direction. And so I think that the change might be a bump at this point.
And, to roll down this road, I look at it in terms of, have these 2 done anything that would warrant their not getting a position that they have? And at this point, no, they haven't. They've done good work. That doesn't mean that you can't be a good administrator. I believe full-heartedly the potential is there. But I also think that given the circumstance, the position, at this point, we have to really take a look at their work experience in terms of the number of years of administration that they have done. So with that being said, if I start looking at both Audrey and Chrissy, I see a situation where as I measure it out, it's hard to say one or the other. They're both have done very nice things for the school district. But if I had to make that decision, I think the one thing that I see that stands out more so than anything else is the RTI and MBI stuff that Audrey has implemented on the middle school levels. I think that has really been transformational. Not that you haven't done similar things, but it's just, it is the one part that does elevate or just my coach over where you're at. And so, you know, if I had to make a recommendation, this is back as for the K6 position.
I should apply for 7 to 12. That's what I want. I don't, but I don't want to push them into something that is beyond.
I expressed an interest.
So basically you've applied, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
What's our technicality
Well,
here?
the technicality is this. She has come out and she's stated very clearly that her first choice is the elementary position. As much as I would like to say, okay, let's throw all that off the table and make the decision for her to be 7-12 and Mrs. Hull the K6, I think we need to get this dealt with on the K6 first and handled. Now, with that having been said, you know, she could very easily withdraw her name for consideration of the K6 at this point to go 7-12 if she wants.
Are we twisting your arm?
But
you guys wanted to sit here with us, didn't you?
She has put her name into both positions. We said it'd be in-house, and for people who did not put their names into either of these positions, and open the process to an out-of-house process. So, that being said, I still believe that, you know, we need to honor that first choice of what Ms. Backus has put forward in terms of what she would like to excel at because of her comfort levels, her strengths, her understanding of the curriculum, and all those other things that are going to allow her to get running at her. Not that I don't feel she's capable, so I'm sure she will.
What did we put everybody's feet in the fire here?
wow. If that's how
Okay, guys, what are we doing?
Is there a chance that we can think about this for a little while and not make a decision, sleep on it?
If you don't want to make a decision tonight, absolutely.
I'd like to think about it.
Yeah, I think we need to sleep on it somehow. When would, in all logicalness, when would the next available board meeting be that the recommendation needs to be there for? The 8th of April.
We're scheduled.
Is where our regular scheduled board meeting, okay. So we don't want to hang everybody out to dry till then, but can
We can schedule one before then too.
if we, okay.
We do have a board meeting tomorrow night.
It's already been noticed for the agenda, yeah.
So if you want to table the K6 for now, that's fine, but we still have the 7-12 to discuss.
Okay, so, I really feel like we need to sleep on it. Just,
Yeah, I'd like to table.
so that's what you get for us. We're not the usual hiring guys, you know, from this level. Usually it's right here and then they come to us. But because it's such a flip, we thought maybe we should be here with it. And so that's how you get us. So I'm sorry about that. So, okay. Okay, well, I'm just saying.
So with that being said, we want to move on the agenda to the next position.
So yes, we're gonna table the final decision on a recommendation to the full board on the K6. And the 7-12 position is on the agenda.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And let's just talk about it quickly a minute, even though nobody officially applied. How's
Well,
that?
yeah, there is a letter, she did.
So,
in her
okay,
letter,
so
she
you did officially apply?
Yes.
Yeah, expressed interest.
Okay.
That's a letter of interest.
Okay, so here we go. We're on to the
So I was
next one.
hoping that there would be some discussion about 7-12.
Let's go. Let's go on
Let's have
right
some
now.
discussion.
Right now.
Well, we're into that discussion phase, and since there was no other interest in it, this here is just between us. Now, with the 7-12, I know that you've shown a little bit of interest in that. And correct me if I'm wrong, your interest, your heart really sits with elementary, but you've expressed that you would be willing to consider the 7-12 in the event that you did not get the K-6, or am I incorrect in that?
We'll put you on the spot, but
My heart is with the middle school. I've been there for I truly do.
So you have it on
love
either side,
the
so.
middle school.
I mean,
Yeah,
you have
so
sixth
see,
grade at
there
the lower
I
end,
am.
or 7-12
Yeah,
at
in
the
the
other.
middle.
So if your heart's in the middle school, which grade levels are you, what are your favorite grade levels that you like working with? What is the middle school level for you?
I just like 6 or 8. I'm very comfortable with that, just that age group in general.
Right.
Okay, so if you look at the high school, it goes back to the relationship part of it all. I mean, that's why there was some interest on my behalf, on my part with the high school. And I think there's, as I said earlier, I can see where it's all headed.
Well,
Yeah, I
and
think
you,
it's
and
really-
you know that age group now. I mean, they were your kids, correct?
Right, okay, and so let me maybe this would be helpful. I can remember when Dan first came and I didn't know those kids that were in the high school, and I spoke to them in the hall, or
Right.
when Dan was gone, I would have to interact with them.
Right.
That it's way different.
Right.
It's way different now.
Right.
When he's gone and I say, well, could you, I don't know why you're behaving the way you are, but could you just
Right.
straighten up for me, please? They do it, and it's because of the relationship. And it's because of what's been created in the high school too. We work closely together. But, that's what I see as the big difference that, or why I would feel, maybe it's not difference, it's more about why I would feel comfortable in the high school. I know those kids in the same way Chrissy knows the kids that are coming up.
I mean, and knowing, having those relationships in place, does that make you comfortable enough to tackle the parts that you feel like you aren't
I
strong
think
enough
the
on?
curriculum, that's not such a concern, as much of a concern as the activities part. Getting my head wrapped around all of the regulations, one.
Yeah, the MSHA.
Yeah, I was gonna say the NHSA.
Making sure that things are wrong, because
Right,
one of the things
because
that I
it-
think you don't see with Dan, or you never really hear of too much, is that Dan has a very close relationship with the athletic director, and is very involved on numerous issues with that, and the same is true with the probation officers that come in. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that Dan is very skilled at, very adept at, that he just takes care of issues and we move on. You could have a parent come in with an issue, you could have a teacher come in with an issue, and it's their big burning issue of the day, and what you have at the high school principal level is, well, that's my third one of these today. Well, that's their one issue for the year or the month. And so, because of that ability to have those relationships and to rely on understanding the rules, whether it's academic eligibilities or whatnot at the high school level, things are taken care of, and I believe that's probably your concern.
Well, yeah, because the buck still stops in Dan's office, or that's how I see it. So just, not having that experience base would be a concern. Because I would want to do it you know, I want to do it to the best of my ability and do it correctly.
Everything else we've done building blocks, so a lot of the stuff that we've done has started either at elementary or middle school, and it's grown up into the high school. So curriculum, a lot of the curriculum work, we've been working interdisciplinary, so in grade level, so it's working.
Well, we talk about it, the admin, you know, quite a bit.
And then we have the RTI and the MBI. MBI at the high school is getting a lot stronger, mainly because of the belief system coming from the younger grades and seeing how attitudes change, behaviors change as they come up through. RTI is getting developed and all that stuff that you're comfortable with, all of those types of things, but it's all that other stuff.
But flip-flopping it, oh, I'm sorry, are we done?
Yeah.
But flip-flopping it, you know, and of course, we haven't advertised outside, you know, of in-house. We could have just the opposite come in. We could have someone who might have been a principal within the state of Montana, understands Montana High School Association rules, all of that kind of thing. But as far as the curriculum, even though I recognize that now with Common Core, things are going, you know, in a few years, that's going to change. Well, I mean, I would think that that would be one of the pluses of Common Core, is that if an administrator moves from one school to the other, you know, you're going to be somewhat familiar with that, but even though it's, you know, it's handled, you know, in district the way they want to, but still, okay, so I'm back to, we might have someone who came in, understands that particular part of being the principal, but isn't as familiar with what we've been doing with the curriculum here as Audrey is, or whoever, you know. So there's always that. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate
Well,
here.
yeah, but if I can add in here, if you look at one of the signature marks of high-performing schools, they talk about consistency in administrative leadership. If you have strong consistency at the levels of your principals and superintendents, and they have sustainability, what they tend to do is those are the schools that tend to outperform those that have revolving doors in those positions. What Mrs. Backus kind of alluded to when she was speaking is that she has relationships with these students already built in with the experiences that she's had at the middle school level for upwards of 3-4 years. And so when she sees them in the hallway, instead of a situation turning into a confrontation, you're asking me to do what? There's a level and a degree of respect that the students have for her already built in. And they're willing to try. They're willing to listen. They're willing to try. That relationship matters to them. Where a relationship with somebody they're not as familiar with doesn't matter as much. So with that being said, I don't think you could find a better candidate if you opened it up to the outside to come in and do the things that you want done. Because a lot of the built-in things that we have right now with our RTI and MBI stuff that is filtrating up into the high school levels. So I have no hesitation in the high school. If Mrs. Backus went up to high school and states very clearly that she does, I'm all for it. I'm behind it 110%.
I would think that Montana High School Association would have some trainings.
No.
No, they
No,
don't.
just talk to me. You talk to the past principal if you can, if you have an
Okay.
opportunity. Otherwise, it's trial by fire.
That's what I thought.
Okay, well, all right, so I was hoping for something better than that.
But we do have some training